it's Snook here, and this is my Infernal Blow character, and the build's name is Screen Detonator. And it's actually a fairly fitting name for the build, since it's an Infernal Blow character that scales the explosion damage and AoE really high. And like back in the Awakening beta days, when the Infernal Blow was nerfed from 25% I think it was to 10%, I was kinda disheartened by that, because Infernal Blow had been a fairly nice skill to use. Like I was once playing a Facebreaker build with it, and I was really happy about it. But when it got nerfed, I was kinda like, well, can I even play this anymore? Seems pretty crap. But in the last league, which was Talisman, I tried the same thing out, which is basically scaling the explosion damage with dual Dorianis, and it worked pretty well. And I decided to try it in this league as well. And, well, just like every other build, the ascendancies have buffed them quite a lot. So basically, what we have here are, well, 2 Dorianis obviously, then a 6-link, and in that 6-link we have Infernal Blow, Fire Pen, increased area of effect, Multistrike, melee splash, and elemental focus. And here we're playing a Berserker, aspect of carnage, that's 40% more. 40% more from elemental overload. Then fire damage, lots of AoE, more elemental damage and penetration as well. Then we are using blood magic, avatar of fire, so that, well, no need for any other shenanigans, and penetration works for everything. So in town, 24k DPS, or yeah, with frenzies and elemental overload, that goes to almost 60, and that's actually times 1.5, since we have fairly large amount of penetration. So, I mean, yeah, the single target DPS is the biggest problem with this build, but the AoE kinda makes up for it. As you can see, 99% increased AoE, and it's even more with melee splash. So yeah. Alright, time for some demonstration in Dried Lake. So at first, let's see the out of town DPS we have. A few more frenzies. 5, there we have it. So it's 48. So okay, not quite 60. But yeah, as you can see, it plays pretty well, even Dried Lake. Whoa. But yeah, I mean, the AoE is not too big right now. And we don't actually have melee splash in, so let's put it in. And you can already see that the AoE is getting a bit bigger. So, if you have a really big pack on your screen, like, it's gonna just explode all of them. Like, there we go. And that's not even that much. So if you go to Malcolm, for instance, with this build, like, it's large explosions going on. And it's quite fun as well. So, with all the increases and more multipliers that we have in this build, the 10% of the mob's corpse's HP is actually gonna be more like 2 or twice the mob's HP in fire damage in that small area of effect, which, well, isn't that small actually. So if you have a boss somewhere and it's surrounded by a blue pack, you detonate that blue pack and the mob is gonna die. So in that sense, like, you can kinda see why they nerfed it in the first place. I mean, if it still was that 25%, like, this would be dealing over twice the damage it's dealing now. And I mean, it's dealing a lot of damage right now. You will see that a bit later. And let's have a look at some of the changes and, well, choices I've made with this build. So, first of all, in the skill tree, blood magic. Why? I mean, I could always ditch Avatar of Fire and, I don't know, get auras, summon knowledge. But the thing is that, if you look at the links here, like, there really isn't much space for anything like melee physical damage that would give us more physical for leeching. So like, if I do that, I'll just end up not leeching enough, especially in single target, like against some bosses or rares. So that's the main reason I went blood magic, and we can always get these like behind it, giving us quite a lot of life. Like 5.5k life is it's not much, but like I've kind of gone overboard with the elemental damage here. So for instance, like this whole cluster here, maybe these radius nodes could be dropped and put into, well, the Silent Life wheel, or this one here, or this one here. Like, you can make this considerably more tanky and still make it work, because I've kind of, well, just went nuts with the damage, so to speak. But mainly I try to get as much elemental damage as I can, like, and maybe like kind of optimized a bit. Currently, my jewels contain mainly life. Well, this is actually a really bad one, but well, this one, for instance, I don't know, attack speed is pretty good, area damage, and life. Like life is pretty important, so that's why I've had it there. We have endurance charges at the moment. That's not 1, 2. It's 6 altogether, because in the belt I've got the max endurance charges. And there's a fairly important thing to know in this build. Like, even if the Doriana's Catalyst has the leech there, 0.2, it's actually local to the weapon only. And that means that it's not actually going to leech from the explosion with that leech, as far as I know. That's how it feels. So that's why I had to get this belt, not necessarily with the endurance charge, but it's a nice bonus. But regardless, like, that leech is global, and that's gonna leech from the explosion, which is why I needed it. Yeah, and other than that, since we're using or having the elemental overload there in the tree, we kind of need accuracy. So basically, I've found that having 3 pieces with about 400 and these 4 nodes giving us the accuracy, I mean, that's quite enough. Like, if we look at it here, we have almost 2.5k accuracy at the moment. On level 92, it's 90% chance to hit. So that's quite nice. And our crit chance is 11%. And as far as I know, the explosions themselves have a like an individual role on the crit. Our Leap Slam has increased critical strikes linked to it, so it has a bit higher crit chance. And so that when I leap into packs, I can fairly easily proc the elemental overload and keep it going. But yeah, I think that's mostly like what this build is about, and I'll have some clips from various endgame contents, not dried like that, where you can actually see how well the build actually works, and some fairly funny bits, like, and places I've never been to, like the Abyss, for instance. Enjoy.
Die in awe! Shrink not from the light of divinity!
To the hammer!